I made it.
What?
I made it.
Good.
Miss, are you okay?
Amanda?
John, I messed up. Will you please help me? I messed up.
Where are you? Amanda, what are you... Check the wax jaw. This shit is hilarious.
I don't like him!
Boys!
I'm just doing my job.
Ciao, ladies and gentlemen. One more time. Make some noise. Come on now. Dude, thank you. Thank you so much for being here. Congratulations, man, you guys.
Thank
this
you.
show is absolutely is cuckoo bananas, man. It is nuts.
It's
it
fun,
is
right?
out of control. You guys just had your season finale this past weekend, right?
Yeah, that's on Saturday.
Yeah.
Now it's worldwide on Netflix, except for America.
Yeah. Man, America can't catch a break in 2016. I'm gonna tell you right now. This is just another thing on the list.
You guys, I think you guys have it on VOD.
We do. You go to
on the
BBC America, BBC
website,
America's
so.
website, all the apps. We can still watch it.
You had
I'm
it
just
first.
pulling your chain. But that's huge, man. Congratulations. Thank you so
you.
much. As I've said, crazy show. It is the exact thing you'd expect if you take the silliness of Douglas Adams and sort of the energy of Max Landis and put it together.
Yes.
How'd you get involved in this show, man? How'd you come to this project?
You know what? I thought it was a fake project. I got this audition for another character, Friedkin, and they're like, "Okay, put this on tape. We need it by tomorrow." And it was like the biggest monologue I'd ever seen, like a full block of text with no actions, and then 2 other scenes. And I'm like, okay. And I wasn't gonna do it because it was such an unreasonable request, but I did it, and I sent the tape in. I didn't really get a breakdown. I didn't understand what the show was or what was happening, and I forgot about it. Maybe like a month later, I get an offer for the role of Vogel, and I had no idea who this character was or what this show was, and I'm like, oh, it was from that audition, and it just happened. I was like traveling the world. I was in China when I got that email, and then I came back to Vancouver. Still didn't really know what it was, and then I finally, contracts and everything was done. I got in, sat down with Max and the director, Dean, and they finally kind of gave us this whole spiel about the show, our characters, the backstories, and it finally all kind of made sense. And it wasn't until that moment that it was kind of real.
How much? That's pretty crazy, man. How much of? Well, let me back up, because this show, one of the things that's incredible about it, and everybody goes, oh, it's crazy, it's nuts, but there is sort of an assumed intelligence of the audience watching it, because it does not hold your hand. From the get-go, it throws so many different plots and elements at you, and there's so many connective threads and tissue. So you got that rundown early on in the beginning. Did you have a sense of the scope of how many different lines and all that? Or did it develop as you guys were going along and you were like, oh, this guy is part of that too? And
I mean, that's part of the fun of the show is that we get to figure that out as we're going along. Like, I knew it was a Douglas Adams project, and if you're a Douglas Adams fan, you know how much he kind of has all those Easter eggs and how everything is kind of connected, right? And probably my favorite thing about this show is that, yes, we have this source material that's great, but we're not stepping all over it. We're making our own thing that's kind of in that style, and Max did a great job with setting up so many things that do pay off. So even for us that have read the scripts, that have were there when we were shooting it, making all those decisions, and we've seen the episodes numerous times, we still have to go back and over, oh yeah, that thing connects to that thing, and that's part of the fun of it, is that this show is kind of made for a fandom, for people to rewatch and really pick apart, and that's what I really love about it, is that yeah, it's made for fandoms, and I'm very much a fandom.
Well,
person.
for sure, and it's funny that you said that. It is not even just like all the different elements to pick apart, but the costumes are great, the characters are great. It feels like there are tons of people out there. Have you guys been seeing a great fan response, cosplaying, stuff like that? It's usually something like that takes a while. Like it's not usually right out of the gate.
It's true.
Yeah.
I've already seen my first cosplayers that they came as the Rowdy 3. Well, there's only 2 of them.
That's fine. There's 4 of the Rowdy 3.
I know,
mean,
there's
you can
4
really
of
play
them.
with the numbers, right? You can.
So they had Cross and Grips. I'm like, where's Vogel? And they're
Where's
like,
the
you're
Vogel?
Vogel. So I'm like, okay, fine. That's a good suck-ass answer.
Well, it's
but it worked.
So the Rowdy 3, which you're a part of, you guys are vampires, but in an unconventional sense, right? Like, explain a little bit about the Rowdy 3 and what the 4 of you are, and sort of what your character is.
So
in
we're
the
like,
show.
I mean, I'm still trying to figure that out.
Yeah, we all are. We all.
We're like energy vampires in the sense of Monsters Inc.
Right. Yeah,
I'm
like
not.
just without
I'm
the
probably
canister.
Mike Kowalski.
Kowalski. Oh no, how do I forget that name?
Anyways,
but
I'm
you're
the
pretty
little
close.
guy,
Wazowski, Mike Wazowski.
Wazowski,
There
yeah.
it is. Oh, that was gonna kill me.
So
I would have derailed
we
this whole
scare
interview
people.
to get that name.
Yeah, we scare people. They're terrified. We suck up their energy, and that's what we feed off of. So that's how we sustain ourselves. But it's not so much this first season that I'm excited for. Because, like the Rowdy 3, we kind of come in, and so as you saw from the clip, like really important things happen, and then the Rowdy 3 come in, and we kind of like shift everything. We save the day, or
Right.
we just help out because we're hungry, and usually the people involved in the show just happen to have this like really tasty energy. So
Yeah,
that-
so you guys show up and you like
Yes.
scare the hell out of them, right? If you never,
Yeah.
not often you don't like beat them. Like when you show up in the beginning and you're chasing down Dirk, it's because you want his energy, right?
Yeah, because
And-
he's just got this really nice flavor about him, and I mean, just watching him, you can kind of tell.
So, what kind of research does one do when they're preparing to become an energy-sucking vampire?
As little as possible.
Yeah.
I think one of my favorite things about Vogel is that when I was a kid, I had major rage issues, and one of the things that I always wanted for my parents, I'm like instead of all these like weird disciplines that you're trying to like enforce on us, like why don't you just like get a room, throw like mattresses all over, and let us go crazy on something? And that's kind of what I get to do with Vogel. And on top of that, I don't even have to be angry about it, which is the only time you really get to destroy stuff is when you're angry. You're letting out that frustration. But Vogel, he gets to see this world as new and shiny, and so he gets to enjoy this destruction that he's doing. Yeah. So our first day was, like run into this car with your van and then smash everything on that side of the street. We own it, and have at it. And it's just like this wonderful, release of energy and any frustrations that you might have built up over the week.
Oh, yeah, you can tell. You guys are clearly having the best time in the world when you film those scenes. The Rowdy 3 has all of the makings of like a classic film and TV posse. You've got like the stoic guy, you've got the muscle, you've got like the really... And then, my friend, there's the wild card, right? You get to be the one. That's Vogel. You are at 11 all the time and sort of at this high energy. How much of that was on the page? How much of that did you bring into the part? Did you guys talk about that dynamic on the first day of like who's going to be who in this world?
We kind of already have that within ourselves. So one of the reasons why I got the role is because Max saw my audition for Friedkin and he's like, "That's Vogel," right away. Yeah, so apparently I have that manic energy to me. I guess I'm not entirely sure, but yeah, it's fun. Though I realize that I move around really fast and quickly, and a lot of the times the camera couldn't quite catch up, so I barely show up. I'm like, oh, I should slow down next season. But one of the things I'm most excited for is like season 2. I mean, and nothing.
Well, they set you up big. Yeah, they do, without giving anything away.
Yeah, so season 2, I'm probably going to get to talk more, say coherent sentences, really like dive into the character.
Kind of flesh them out a little bit.
Yeah.
Well, congratulations, too, by the way, on the season 2 thing. That's huge. You guys, well-deserved, and obviously, I think everybody's ready for it. The show, without giving anything away, really does set it up, especially for you to have like a really big arc in this coming season. Have they talked to you at all about that yet, or have you seen anything yet, or
I mean,
very preliminary stages?
I've heard things, but you don't until you see a script, until we shoot it, until it's up there. It's you don't want to think too hard on that because anything could change at this moment. Like Max has all these ideas, and it's honestly like sitting down with him and just listening to him tell the stories of anything.
Yeah.
And of course, even more exciting when it's about your future on the show. It's really exciting.
Well, if there's one thing Max has a reputation for, it's having a lot of ideas, man. Like, in fact, you know, it was really funny when I was watching it. Some people have observed that Sam, in the role of Dirk, kind of channels a little bit of Max's energy. But what I was thinking is, like, if you were to like distill that impression that people have of Max and like just take that one little bit and concentrate it, like that would be Vogel in a way. Like, did you pick up on anything in working with Max and bring that in? Was that conscious decision? Was that just like, or were you just like going for broke and like swinging for the fences with him?
So after we read the script, me and the other three Rowdies, like, we had no idea what our characters entailed and how we were supposed to say any of the lines that were on the script. And it wasn't until we met with Max and the director, and he he did an impression of every single one of our characters, including the backstory. And like after that, every single one of us, including the director, was like, "Oh, that's what you're going for." And then it finally made sense because like off the script, we had no clue what we were supposed to do. Yeah.
I can imagine that was very helpful. I would love to have like a little Max Landis window as I'm watching the show too, to just kind of like tap and go, this is, and just kind of like.
It's fascinating. I love
It's so
watching.
fascinating. We were talking backstage. The show, there's a really cool, I think it was a fan-created graphic already of all the different characters and sort of these lines of how all their storylines are interconnected, intertwined, and it's just this big spaghetti monster.
I need to see that.
Yeah, I'll find it for you when we get out of here. We'll
Okay,
take a
that'd
look
be
at
great.
it. I would be remiss, having just watched the last episode, I want to take a second and acknowledge your dancing ability. In fact, guys, I think we've got a quick GIF that I saw. Yeah, let's take a look at this really quick. This is you in the always wonderful Hannah Marks, just kind of celebrating, and this was making the rounds over the weekend. How long did you do this for, and what song were they playing for you?
They were playing Silence.
Nice.
It was a really good beat. We probably danced for like a good half hour, and it was hot. And me and Hannah, like after every take, we're just like, you know, bent over, panting, like, okay, do we have another one of this in us?
A half hour.
Yeah, and there
In the jackets.
there was an extra that had a heat stroke that day.
Watch this monkey
a
jump.
hot day.
I love it. And then you do like, it's not in the GIF, but you do this crazy little moonwalk tiptoe thing in a second.
I
It was
have
unbelievable.
no idea what I'm doing.
Were you just
there.
feeling the moment? Just
I'm
kind
not really a dancer. I just, you know, they're like, just go crazy. I'm like, all right.
That I can do.
Like I can move my
Well,
limbs.
you took a big swing and it paid off, my friend. This is fantastic. All right, yeah, we don't have to leave it up. I don't want to.
Yeah, okay. I
we
have a hard
could.
time
We
watching
could.
myself.
The cast, I mean, obviously everyone on the show is fantastic, right? But some of the people, Hannah Marks, we talked about, Elijah Wood, Richard Schiff, TV's Miguel Sandoval's on the show. There's so many great people on this show. Were there any moments where you got to kind of hear some great stories or hang out with them or learn anything from them or take anything from all this wealth of experience and knowledge on a set like this?
Yeah. Another thing I really loved about the show is like from day one, they really tried to have us kind of come together as a community. So they set up like this big dinner and they invited everyone. And you know, a lot of us don't have scenes together, but they kind of facilitated us to hang out. We did a lot of these escape rooms in Vancouver.
Really?
The last one I did was with Hannah. I think Hannah, Max, and Fiona, and it did not go very well.
What happened?
I think Max was the only one that figured out a clue, and then we were just like breaking things. There was like this. They gave us explicit instructions, like do not turn the switch, and we flicked it twice.
First thing you do.
It was
walk in.
dark, and the second time they did, like we're not going to help you, and so we're just in this dark room trying to figure out all these clues and. Max was the only one that figured one out, and then
Did you guys figure the puzzle wasn't difficult enough? We might as well do this in complete darkness.
I mean, no, and then it just turned out like we kept asking for clues. I'm like, we know we already used our 2 clues. Can we have another one? And at some point, the guy just kind of felt bad for us, so he kept doing it. And then it was like 30 minutes of Max hitting on the guy over the radio. The guy's in character, of course.
Right. Did it work? Did he get some information out of him?
No.
No. Fair enough. Well, you try everything in those scenarios. It's called a panic room.
It was fun, but maybe not so good for the ego.
Fair enough. How many of those did you guys do? You did that a bunch? You went to a bunch of escape rooms? Is that a Max thing? Was that his idea?
3 of them. Elijah was really into them.
Yeah?
I never went to one of the ones with him, but he was really good at it apparently. Yeah, we did that. We went to a lot of dinners, and like with the show coming out, we live tweeted a lot.
Yeah, it was a
and
lot
so
of
we
fun.
try to come together as a group. So I was here in New York for the season finale. I hung out with Hannah and Jade at Hannah's place. So it's really cool because you don't always hang out with the cast,
Right,
you know,
right.
when you're not shooting. And for this show, we kind of have.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All the more reason to be excited for season 2, right? Just get back, hang out
Yeah.
with
You
your
know, we're
friends
already figuring out like, okay, when we're gonna be in Vancouver, where should we live? Maybe we should kind of like facilitate that. I suggested we rent a mansion and like just take a side each. Because it's so crazy expensive in Vancouver that it's more
I don't
affordable
think-
that way.
I think it's very rare when you can pull it off that someone says, we should rent a mansion, that everybody else goes, nah. Like, I'm pretty sure like that's the easy thing to get buy-in on. Is that
Well,
we
there's
should,
there's a lot of students that are doing that because
Yeah.
it's cheaper than renting your own place,
man, it's got to be awesome.
which is weird.
Yeah, it's weird, but also, I can't imagine a cooler place. Just get a mansion. Just call it your castle.
That's what I said.
Put in a moat. All right, there's one more, but we're going to go to audience Q&A in a second. Before we do that, there's one more thing I wanted to talk to you about. I thought it was really cool and interesting that your journey didn't start as you wanting to be an actor. Actually, you're a highly trained martial artist, which is really cool. I wanted you to just ask you about that a little bit and how that kind of got you here, and then see if any of that kind of paid off on the show.
So I had a very, stereotypical traditional Chinese upbringing. My parents, my mom specifically, every morning she'd be on the Chinese newspaper and the radio and sign me up to literally every single class, free class that was available, trial, everything. And I was the only one of my 3 brothers that kind of just agreed to it. So I went and I did pretty much everything. So I got into acting classes. I got in, but it was the same as like soccer or basketball or any other activity that I did. And martial arts was something that I kind of started it late. It wasn't until I was 13 that she found a free class for that. But
I love that detail. That's
I know,
fantastic.
but it was like the thing that I loved the most because I was such a violent kid and I just, I wanted to beat people up. Not the best way of starting, but it gave me the motivation, as I got better at it, I just got less aggressive and, I learned to communicate with words rather than violence. And it wasn't until after high school that I really started taking auditions more seriously. And at some point, I think I was 20, I was training really hard with my martial art. I made the Canadian national team. My agent asked me to put myself on tape, like 30-second demos, like show us that you can do martial arts.
Yeah.
And I did, and they flipped out. They're like, why didn't you tell us you could do this before? And I'm like, well, it's on my resume, kung fu at the very bottom. And they're like, we represent Asians. It's literally on every single person's resume, but no one's good at it. And
all start with kung fu.
Yeah, right. And it was like I was on the Canadian national team, and so he
Incredible.
sent this 30-second thing around, I don't know, wherever he sent it. But like within 3 months, I got a lead role in this miniseries, shooting in China, where I carried all the action scenes. And, it was like my first big foray into acting. And that's the first and only action thing I've really done. And it just led to another acting role, and then at some point, I'd been like, now I'm so far from action, and I'm itching to get back into it. But I've been away from it as long as I've been in it, 10 years.
Well, it looks like you that's incredible, because I wouldn't have guessed that you were that far removed from it, because you look at a lot of the action and stuff that happens with the Rowdy 3, and a lot of like the fight scenes, even though they're supremely chaotic, there's like almost like a chaotic ballet to it. Like there's like you guys fight in tandem, like you're jumping off of each other. One guy will knock another guy into your momentum, and like all these really cool things. And I thought maybe I was wondering if you like worked with the stunt coordinator at all, or if just maybe you were extra comfortable in doing that because of this background. And like,
all of the Rowdy 3, we all have somewhat of a physical stunts background. So yes, and we all knew all the stunt people coming in already. We're all from Vancouver. We have we have a good relationship with them. So we got to play around with the choreography. During rehearsals, we'd figure things out, and we kind of play around with it depending on, okay, what can we do and what do we have time to film. So I mean, that stuff is really fun, and it's been a while where I got to be so physical. And Vogel especially, I mean, I wish I didn't pick such heavy boots because I would have loved to do more jumping. But
Those boots look badass, though.
well, they're like 2 sizes too big, and
Fair
you know
enough.
I'm
All right.
at risk of rolling an ankle like every day. Hasn't happened. So yeah, not yet. But yeah, it's a lot of fun, and you know certainly all of our experience definitely comes in handy with that. I thought more injuries would have happened, but there we did have one injury. It was and it was for the silliest thing. I don't know how much I should say, but
Would
we
you get
were
a splinter? What
no, it was like we did this crazy fight scene, and then everything was fine. And it's like, okay, run back into the van, and like Michael, who plays Martin, he hits his head on like there's this thing that was hanging down inside the van, and it's a dark van, so you can't see. And we were running into it so fast, and he just hit his head, and
That'll get you every
had
time.
to get a couple of stitches.
The
So.
old hit your head entering the van trick. Yeah,
I
man.
know, right?
We've all been there. Well, look, man.
Avoid everything else. It's the van.
The show, I can't say it enough. It's a ton of fun, man. Congratulations on it. People, like you said, it's on Netflix worldwide right now, not in the U.S., but everyone in the U.S., we can check it out on BBC America and on the apps. I want to turn it over to audience Q&A, get a couple of questions in before we get out of here. Our first one right here in the back.
Hey, Osric, thank you for being here.
Thanks for having me.
If you could play a different character on Dirk Gently, who would it be and why?
Bart. Absolutely Bart. So she plays this crazy assassin character. I mean, Fiona does an amazing job with her, female character. But there's something really fun about playing a psychotic assassin that's very vulnerable. You know, she has like some of the most heartfelt scenes and moments. But one of my favorite like little snippets is when she has Ken. They're at this gas station, and she goes in, and it's in the process of being robbed, and she just like bloop bloop, and just kills the two guys without a second thought.
There is a moment I particularly enjoyed where her and Ken, they're kind of being attacked, and the dude throws a knife at her while her gun jams.
It.
And it's just like the handle like hits her, and she's like, oh, and she picks it up, catches it, and throws it right back. Like, she's incredible. She's so nonchalant about all of her skills. And again, this like super sensitive character that you get under that surface. She's a lot of fun. That makes sense.
The Bart character is like that is my dream character to play in a kung fu movie someday. You know, like growing up, that's the character I always wanted to play.
Crazy, but with a soft core.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. That's sweet. Let's go ahead. Let's take another one. What do we got out there?
Hey man, thanks for being here. This has been a great and insightful interview. So I know you just briefly talked about your stunt background. For you personally, what was the most dangerous stunt that you've ever been a part of in your lifetime?
It was. I mean, seeing that I've only really done that one action movie. One of the reasons why they hired me was because and a lot of reasons. I actually got that role from default because no one else had all these credentials. But I was an actor that could do my own stunts, that was non-union, that was Canadian, Chinese, speaks English, and could live and work in rural China without all the amenities that, you know, Western people are normally used to. So I'm like, yeah, I just spent 6 months like shitting in a hole, so I can totally do this.
That was listed on the resume just under Kung Fu.
No, I said that in the interview. And they believed me, and I mean, I had. So it was the like big finale battle, and they had this huge battle scene. It was like, it was a battle, and we had this sequence that we choreographed, and I was like, I just seen my girlfriend like get knocked out. I think she's dead, and I just go into this blind rage, and I run through this battlefield, and I fight like 6 different guys as I'm running. And then I end up in this like mud pit, and I'm wrestling this dude in a mud pit, and then I somehow find my way to the rock, and I pick up this rock and I smash his head in, and then and then we have this moment where I realize my girlfriend's not dead. And it's like a 6-minute sequence, and it was raining and it was cold, and so I did this whole sequence, and like the running part was choreographed, because that's dangerous, but like the wrestling in the mud was not choreographed. It's like just wrestle for however long you feel like, and then there's a big rock here, a real rock, which in retrospect should not have been real because what if I slipped? And it was really slippery. But I had like real scratches because the sand was so abrasive. I lost both my contacts, so I was blind by the end of it. And there were so many things that, like, looking back, I'm like, that would never fly in North America. So we did that, and it was a 6-minute clip. They had 4 cameras, and then we did it again. And it was yeah, that was probably the craziest thing, and still, really fun thing that I got to remember doing. But the second time I did it, I was completely blind, and I'm like, okay, like I have to memorize my steps because I can't really see the foothold that I'm gonna jump off of. So I had to count my steps. I'm like, okay, 4 steps here, jump. That guy's gonna be there. I mean, I could kind of see like blurry images, but like the floor I couldn't really tell. And I'm like, okay, 3 steps there, 2 steps there, And so that was kind of fun in its difficulty, and I guess how dangerous it really was. But I like a challenge, so yeah, I'm glad I got to do that.
Question, at the end of doing that, having achieved all that, has there ever been a moment of reflection of like, holy crap, that was really dangerous? Just like...
Yeah, I have a lot of those in life, but that's, I like to live. I don't want to shelter myself because of a potential risk. That's never how that's never been my motto. And so I take a lot of risks, because of the potential rewards that come.
Yeah.
Where there's risk, there's reward, and I live by that.
I also really, that's fantastic, man. And I also really enjoy that the potentially most dangerous part was the least choreographed. Yeah, we're going to have you roll around in this pile of mud and water and throw these rocks at each other. You'll figure it out in the moment.
The most dangerous was that I could have smashed this guy's head in.
With this
because his
rock.
head was there, and it was up to me to like have this like 20, 30-pound rock.
Good God.
And do like this and like stop it right before his head. And like thinking back, I'm like, that was dangerous.
Can I ask you though?
Yeah.
How badass was that scene on camera?
Really
huh?
badass.
Yeah, it's pretty badass. All right, it was worth it. There we go.
And at the end, they're like, more blood, more blood. And it was just literally like 2 Chinese guys in the floor, like throwing cups of blood at my face.
I love it.
Like, this is your apocalypse now moment. I'm like, I hadn't seen that movie. It's like, don't worry, it's good, it's good.
Just trust me. That's fantastic. All right, well, we got time for one more question. Let's see what we got right here.
Hey, Osric, thanks for being here. I actually remember you on YouTube with the Hollywood Show doing all those parody videos. I was just wondering, like, how did you get involved in that, and if there's a, like maybe a chance that maybe Dirk Gently might be in there?
That's a good call. So I met the Hollywood girls at this random convention in Spain, and we got off. We got a ride from the airport to the hotel together, and I try to be very friendly, and I'm introducing myself, and I'm like, hey, what are you here for? And they're very shy about it. Like, we make these little YouTube videos online, and I'm like, can I see it? And they give me a card, and I looked them up, and the first one that I saw was the Doctor Who one. And it blew my mind in terms of the production value of the set that they build, just like the camera rigs and stuff. And I just raved about them, like all weekend. Like, you totally undersold yourself. This is incredible. This is not like, just sisters doing a thing in their backyard. This was like, TV level quality at the very least, and they're still getting better, and they're completely self-taught. And it's them and a couple of friends that they work with a lot, and I was just blown away by them. And so right off the bat, I'm like, when are you going to do a Supernatural parody? And they're like, well, we used to watch the show, and we haven't really gotten into it. And they asked me to do the Walking Dead one, which I'm like, yeah, I will totally be Glenn. I'm assuming that's who you want me to be. And I did it, and it was a lot of fun, and eventually came around to doing a Supernatural one. And Supernatural being what it is, like, I got the cast to agree to be in a parody of their own show. And it became their most successful one ever. And then they asked me to do the Sherlock one. And I was gonna do their Suicide Squad one that they just shot. And it was the first time she actually, because I do a lot of cosplay, and sometimes I'll cross-dress, and she's like, asked me to do a female character, which I won't name, but I was busy, so I couldn't do it. But a Dirk Gently parody, that's a great idea. And I will be maybe Bart.
That's your chance. You can do it. Well, I have to let you go, but I want to remind everybody, I binge watched the show, and man, it is a fun experience. It really lends itself to that experience. You can check it out on BBC America's website. They got the apps. And if you're anywhere else but America, you can watch it on Netflix right now. You're probably already watching it. It's a fantastic show. One more time, guys, please, thank you so much. Osric Chau, thank you for being here. So good.